Hello everyone. In my hands I have the TTArtisan 75mm f2 lens. This lens has been around for a while as a full-frame lens for Nikon and Sony, but TTArtisan only recently released it for Fujifilm. I've been using it for a while now, and I have to say this is quite a gem. It's a lovely little lens, not only for Fujifilm, but one that would look amazing on my Nikon setup. If you want to see such a review, let me know in the comments below. And it might happen. But let's focus on the Fujifilm experience for now. On an APS-C body, like the Fujifilm X-T5, 75mm becomes roughly 112mm equivalent field of view. It's not a focal length I've used much before. Like a space I haven't really explored. That alone makes it interesting. At first it felt unfamiliar, but that unfamiliarity quickly became the challenge that made me like this lens even more. I want to start this review not with specifications, but how this lens made me feel and what it pushed me to do, because that's where the story is. I used it for all kinds of things: portraits, everyday moments, street photography, and yes, plenty of photos of my dog. Sorry for not being sorry about dropping all those images of him. In portraits, especially in controlled environments, this lens shines. When you can communicate with your subject, ask them to turn slightly or shift the weight, the 75mm view gives you such a gorgeous separation between subject and background. The compression feels intentional, but not excessive, giving portraits a calm and focused energy. The images are sharp where they need to be, not clinically sharp, and that's good. A natural sharpness with enough character left in it. The lens resolves all the details that the Fujifilm X-T5 and the X-Trans5 sensor has to offer, but what really stands out is the background rendering of this lens. The bokeh has character. It's not the kind that melts everything in one creamy wash. There's texture, there's life. Some might call it old school or call size planner-like. I just call it pleasing. You get distinct bokeh balls when the scenes allows it. But even with a background that some would call busy, I would say that busyness creates contrast. That helps the subject to pop. And that's the thing, you need the right background to get that look. Highlights behind subject, small light sources, those makes the bokeh shine. Without them, you still get a soft blur, just less personality. That's true for any lens. For example, the swirly Helios 44. You only get the swirls in the right conditions. Same principle here. When everything aligns, the TTArtisan renders a depth that feels cinematic. It adds a mood to portraits that I didn't expect from something so compact and affordable. Low light use is possible with an f2 aperture. You can shoot handheld well into darkness and still get a clean result. The overall feel is that of a lens with character, sharp yet forgiving, vintage looking, yet modern in handling. It gives you something to reach to, not just document with. That's what drew me in from the start. Moving over to street photography, this is where things got really interesting. I always been the wide-angle street shooter. Back in the analog days, without autofocus, I learned zone focusing, depth of field tricks, and the importance of being close to your subject. If your photos aren't good enough, you're not close enough. That line stayed with me for years. So using a telephoto-like focal length for street felt almost wrong at first. But that's exactly what made it so refreshing. With 112mm equivalent field of view, you suddenly have distance. You're not in people's faces anymore, but you're still a part of the scene, just differently. It's less about confrontation and more about observation. That shift changes everything. You start to noticing gestures, posture, small interactions. Instead of waiting for a smile or a reaction, you look for shapes and alignment. You observe instead of intervening. It becomes slower, calmer, more deliberate. Of course, that distance has a risk. It can make your images feel really like you're spying on people. To avoid that, I rely on something I'll call intentionality. I talked about it before in another video that I linked in the description below. It's about being present, visible, and shoot as if you belong in the scene. Don't hide behind the camera. Don't be afraid to be seen. With this focal length, that mindset is even more important. If you shoot sneakily from afar, the photos will feel distance. But if you compose deliberately, fill up the frame, and let the subject presence dominate, it works beautifully. The magic happens when your subject acknowledge the camera without breaking the moment. A small glance, a turn of the head, a gesture that connects them to you. When that happens, this lens delivers intimacy from a distance, and that's rare. It's not forgiving though. Shooting people from behind doesn't work. Side profiles are hit or miss. You have to catch something real, an expression, a gesture, a human trace, and frame it carefully. That's what makes it fun. It forces you to think, to wait, to compose. The 75mm changes every lazy habit that you picked up over the years. Technically, the lens handles street conditions well. Autofocus is reliable, not the fastest on the market, but responsive enough. I kept my camera in continuous AF with face and eye detection on, and it found focus most of the time. When it missed, I blamed the camera system more often than the lens. The size makes it ideal for street use. It's so small that nobody notices it. You can move freely without drawing attention. That alone changed the energy of your images. People behave naturally. And the rendering helps too. The compression and the bokeh add a layer of depth that you usually don't see in street photography. Scenes flatten slightly and compress. Light falls differently. The world feels organized. I also found myself shooting through things. Windows, reflections, layers of people with a longer lens. Foreground and background merge in interesting ways. You start to using architecture, shadows, to create your framing. This lens doesn't just make you photograph differently, it makes you see differently. You start to anticipate the alignment between shapes and people, waiting for those brief compositions that only exist for half a second. It's not just a casual walk-around lens, it demands attention, but it rewards it. The only thing missing is weather sealing. That one complaint I have. Living in Sweden means unpredictable weather. I often shoot in drizzle, fog, or light rain. And with a lens this compact, I love to take it anywhere. But without sealing, you have to be careful. It's not a deal breaker, but it limits the use. Still, for the price, it's hard to criticize. The value is exceptional. I often talk about the triangle of build quality, features, and low cost. Usually you can only have two, but this lens comes pretty close to hitting all three. Build is solid, features are enough, and the price is low. That's rare. It also says something about where third-party lenses are heading. A few years ago, budget lenses meant compromises, weak coatings, plastic mounts, uneven focus. Now they are genuinely good. The TTArtisan 75mm shows how far things have come. It feels like the start of a new era where affordable gear can still feel premium. For everyday shooting, it's ideal. It's light enough to carry all day. I walk with it for hours, shooting random moments and never felt weighted down. It's discreet but capable. The kind of lens that invites you to take one more shot before heading home. and creatively, it gives you something to chew on. When you used to shoot with 23, 35mm or 50mm, the jump to 75mm reframes everything. You see backgrounds differently. You notice compression, spacing, rhythm. You start to think about how elements relate in depth rather than in width. That's what I loved most about it. It challenged me without frustrating me. It's not perfect, but it's alive. Now, let's talk about the technical side. Build quality, sharpness, autofocus, and video performance. The TTArtisan 75mm feels like a small metal sculpture. Everything is metal, and it feels solid without being heavy. The aperture ring has firm clicks, though I've knocked it a couple of times accidentally. Not a big issue, but something to be aware of. Manual focus works fine, but honestly, I rarely use it. The focus ring has that focus by wire feel that I don't really like, but it's smooth enough for occasional video pulls. Since this is an autofocus lens, I just let the camera and the lens do the job. In terms of image quality, it's a sharp lens. At f2.0, it's perfectly usable. Plenty of contrast, good details, and a pleasant fall-off. For portraits, it's excellent. Stop it down to 2.8 or f4 and it gets sharper across the frame. But honestly, I like it best wide open. That's where the soul is, anyway. I've shot everything from people to architecture, animals, and it handled them all gracefully. The rendering stays consistent across lighting conditions, backlit, overcast or sunset. It delivers stunning images for a skillful photographer. Autofocus also deserves some credit here. It's not blistering fast, but it's confident. It locks on without much hunting, even in dim light. I mostly keep my Fujifilm camera in continuous AF with face and eye detection. The lens keeps up well with that workflow. I missed a few shots, but nothing unusual. That happens with every lens I use. The one limitation appears when subjects move rapidly towards the camera. Then you might see a small delay or miss, especially in video. It's not a tracking powerhouse, but for most realistic shooting it's fine. And once again, I think the limit are more in the camera than the lens. Speaking of video, let's get into that. For video, the TTArtisan 75mm f2 lens performs surprisingly well. Autofocus transitions are mostly smooth, though you can notice a quick jump and a little pulse when switching from near to far subjects. It's not cinematic focus pull with smoothness, but it's absolutely usable for normal work, interviews, B-rolls, lifestyle clips, handheld or gimbal shots. I filmed my German Shepherd running towards me in slow motion. The lens tracked well for most of the sequence, but lost focus in the very end. Still, I got a usable shot, and that's what matters. Other cameras and lenses may handle that kind of speed better, but they also cost several times more. For anyone doing video casually or as a part of hybrid shooting, this lens holds its own. It's quiet, compact, and balanced beautifully on smaller camera bodies or gimbals. Because of its size and weight, it's easy to carry for long days or travel setups. And there's another point here. In video, perfect focus isn't always necessary. Motion blur and movement forgives a lot. Autofocus frames can even add some feelings to the overall story. The build quality overall is excellent. Nothing feels cheap, no rattles, no play, and the finish has that slightly matte, brushed texture that reminds me of some older lenses. It gives confidence, and confidence is what makes you bring a lens out again and again. So, how does it all come together? After weeks of shooting portraits, streets and video with it, I realized that this lens isn't just another cheap third-party experiment. It's a genuinely capable creative tool. It gives you room to explore new perspectives without costing a fortune and making your wallet really lightweight. It's the kind of lens that quietly teach you things. You begin to see differently. You wait longer, you notice micro-expression, gestures, fleeting interactions, the small human things that makes images feels alive. With a wide-angle lens, you react. With this, you observe. That's the difference. If you're looking for absolute perfection, razor edge sharpness, lightning AF, full weather sealing, you won't find it here. But if you want something with soul, this is that lens. And it's fun. That's something I think we forget to talk about in reviews. The joy of using something, in this case, small and beautifully made, that provides a creative challenge at around $200. This thing is absurdly good value, and it fills a space in the Fujifilm ecosystem that few others do. A small telephoto lens with a character. So, my verdict, the TTArtisan 75mm f2 for Fujifilm is a lens I not only recommend, it's one that I keep using. It's sharp enough for clients, light enough for travel, expressive enough for personal work. If you want a lens that makes you rethink how you shoot, try this one. Mount it, step outside, and don't overthink it. Don't worry about resolution, shards, or brick walls. Worry about stories. Worry about what you feel when you press the shutter. Because in the end, that's what matters. Until next time, keep creating amazing images. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.